I am Sally Reyes, your Sergeant at Arms and a member of the Committee of Heart to Heart Leaders. Would you please take out your phones and silence them, please? Please help me welcome our Executive Director of this Speechcraft. She is also the sponsor of the upcoming Leaders Worldwide program and club. Let's see, chartering in October 2020. She served as finance manager for District 57 and also Heart to Heart secretary. Take it away, Linda.
Woohoo! Thank you, Sally, so very much. And yes, the recording is on. I'm so glad to do that. It's so glad to have you all here on our 8th session of this Speechcraft. So it's the last session. We're wrapping up people's levels, level 1, level 2. There are some people in level 3 who'll be wrapping up either a level 3, 4, or 5. And it's just all very, very, very exciting to have gone through this. And I'd just like to remind you that in order to help with bandwidth, if you would please mute your video and your audio when you're not speaking, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'd like to turn it over to Cynthia for just a moment to tell us a little bit about what's going on with Leaders Worldwide.
Thank you, Linda. Oh, we have some background music. If you could mute yourself. Okay, great. Awesome. So oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the 8th session of the Speechcraft. We're having our graduation on September 21st, and then we're launching the new Leaders Worldwide, woohoo, Toastmasters Club on Monday, October 19th, again at 5:45 to 8 p.m. Pacific, San Francisco time. That is our Americas, Asia, and Oceania edition. And then the wonderful Patricia Mensalarque is going to be the executive director of the Africa, Europe, and Middle East edition, which will be the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month, so alternate Mondays, at 11:45 a.m. to 2 p.m. So in the afternoon for us here in California, yet in the evening for Patricia in Ghana. And so that's a much better time for our people in Africa and Europe and Middle East. They won't have to get up in the middle of the night, which they've been doing through these 8 sessions. So excited. We are having a number of brand new to Toastmasters, or people have come back from being a Toastmaster before, and also dual members all around the world. So if you would like to be a charter member of the Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters Club, please email me at cynthia.stotdtm at yahoo.com. Again, Cynthia Stott, STOTTDTM at yahoo.com. I will put that in the chat for us as well. And it's for the first 6 months, if you've never been a Toastmaster, it's $73. Takes you from October all the way to March with amazing trainings and opportunities to speak. And if you are a Toastmaster and you have been a Toastmaster or you're a dual member, it's $53 for October through March. So we would love to have you. We're going to be having more amazing speakers in our plenary section and a lot of opportunity for you to speak, practice, and to share your heartfelt message. So our motive, our commitment to you is help you to share your message in a heartfelt and authentic way, and be ready to share it with the world, literally, because we have over 15 countries and 10 states involved. Thank you. Back to you, Linda.
Again, thank you, Cynthia, so very much. It's been an honor to work with all of you over these 8 weeks, and I can't wait to see so many of you as part of the Leaders Worldwide Club when it opens up in October. And as Cynthia said, we're We're splitting it so that the folks who have come to us from Europe, Middle East, and Africa can join us at a reasonable hour as opposed to 3 o'clock in the morning. So we do recognize and we thank them so very much for being part of the Speechcraft, even if it was very early in the morning. With that, I'd like to introduce our first plenary speaker. And I'm just, how can I say, tickled to death to be able to introduce her and have her speak to us. It's Lark Dooley. She is a DTM. She served as the 2018-19 Toastmasters International President. Lark's been a member of Toastmasters International since 1990. In her professional life, Lark has worked as a marketing manager for Texas Instruments, owned a successful manufacturing business called Second Wave Incorporated, and now works for Maximus as their Texas Project Enrollment Broker Training Manager. Easy for me to say. Lark often wears gold at Toastmasters events to signify the golden benefits we receive from Toastmasters without having to pay the price of gold to receive them. Lark resides in a lighthouse home in Lake Travis near Austin, Texas, USA, that her husband, Roger, built in honor of her father-in-law, Arthur. Lark Dooley, Golden Leadership, Lark Dooley.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, leaders worldwide. It truly is a golden honor to be with you. And thank you for signing me up for the August 31st meeting. I will tell you that you invited me, I think, in the June timeframe, and it's been a busy couple of months to end my term as the immediate past international president. And now I no longer have that title as of Saturday. I have passed that title to our courageous 2019-2020 international president, Deepak Menon. It was such an honor to serve my last year on the board with him. Talk about a true model of leadership. I know of no better model of leadership than the 2019-2020 Toastmasters International President, Deepak Menon. Again, it is such an honor to be with you tonight. And thank you for letting me share my background photo of my home. My husband passed away in 2014, and I will tell you that every day when I wake up in this home, I see his fingers in every panel of this home because he truly did build many parts of this home. But tonight, we're going to talk about leadership. And as of tomorrow, I will celebrate my 30th year in Toastmasters. Yes, I was just a babe in arms at the time that I joined. I wish that was the case. Actually, I was an adult. And I had graduated from high school, from college. I had been in business for years. And finally, one day, someone invited me to a Toastmasters meeting, and the rest is history. So what is your history? If you're not currently a member, then this is the best way to become a member. I love Speechcrafts. I have delivered many of them, not recently, but I look forward to delivering many more in the years to come. So Speechcraft is the perfect way to learn about Toastmasters and to become a member of this organization. If you already are a member of this organization, then I'm so delighted that you are and that you will continue to grow in this organization. When I joined this organization, never could I have envisioned that I would have been the president of this organization. And today, as I was reflecting on leadership and reflecting the leadership roles I have filled in Toastmasters, I realized that there are still a few I have not filled. So I need to make it a point to fill those. Although one of them, the public relations manager, is a role that in today's world with social media, I'm not sure I'm the best fit for that role. But absolutely, I have so much more to learn. And I am thrilled that tonight, perhaps we'll learn some things together. I am going to share my screen now, and we will go through a presentation if the host will enable it. So host, if you will give me screen sharing capabilities, I do want to share some slides with you tonight. And as we wait on that, I'll tell you that tonight we're going to talk about 6 leadership principles. And to me, they're leadership principles that I have learned in my years in Toastmasters. And some of these leadership lessons I have also been able to hone in my leadership journey within my professional life. But when we look at the leadership lessons, I believe that they begin with communication. And then we will go through the other steps in leadership as we progress through this presentation. Communication. I have a chat master tonight, and Michelle, thank you so much for being willing to be my chat master. I want all of you to use the chat right now to type in how you like to communicate. So when you think about all the myriad of ways that we can communicate, especially in today's world, how do you like to communicate? What forms of communication do you use? And when I think about this, I think about in my work, I use emails more than anything. And of course, also we do Zoom meetings and we do team meetings at my work. So those are forms of communication that I use at work. I love to use texting with my friends. And then, of course, verbal communication is my favorite mode. So, Michelle, what are our members, our participants saying are their favorite forms of communication?
Okay, wow, we got a lot of answers here. One is talking, that's from Kadisha. Linda says, I love to speak to others face to face. That's what I said. Huh. Carolyn says, in person, telephone, email, and text. Varsha says, by speaking directly with people. Rasana, email and chat. Regina, email, text, then phone calls is my favorite way of communicating. Cynthia, text is best for me. That's true. Joe, texting. Lola, in person and text. Oh, me. Voice, face-to-face, best. Getting better at digital. Emails are great. Annabelle,
wonderful. All right, that's great. Now, I want to ask you, what is the most effective form of communication for you? So let's see if we get any different answers. What is the most effective form of communication for you? So Michelle, what are they saying? Is it
okay, so let's see if I can figure out. So I've got 614. Yep, that's it. Face-to-face is most effective. Face-to-face, face-to-face, in person. One says email, one says verbal and WhatsApp. Text, nonverbal.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, wow. Now that was fascinating. We got a nonverbal. Very, very interesting. All right. So does the effectiveness of your communication depend on your audience? See, I think it does. I believe in face-to-face communication, and let's face it, our organization, Toastmasters International, believes in face-to-face communication. Unfortunately, since March, we've not been able to be face-to-face, but as many people say, we keep talking about online communication versus in person. Well, are we not in person tonight? We're in person, aren't we? We're not in the same place physically, but we are communicating in person. And some people might even say we're communicating face to face. So we need to differentiate, but I think that the effectiveness of our communication depends on the audience we're serving, right? All right, let's go a little bit deeper. All right, communication. How often do we communicate? How often do we communicate? So type into the chat how often we communicate. How often do you communicate? Michelle, what are they saying?
All the time. I was going to say the same thing. Daily with my husband, all the time, always. I can't not communicate all the time.
All right, so I can't trick you. Absolutely. We communicate all the time, and we communicate in all the forms of communication that you have mentioned. And of course, depending on our professional life, our personal life, we're going to use various forms of communication more frequently than others. The bottom line is, from the time we wake up in the morning until the time we go to sleep at night, we communicate. And I love the comment about nonverbal communication. So even when we're not writing it, texting it, verbalizing it, we're communicating nonverbally. So absolutely, I believe that we communicate during all our waking hours. And my husband used to say that I communicated in my sleep. Now that he's passed, I don't have anyone to tell me that. But we communicate during all of our waking hours, and some of us even communicate during sleeping hours as well. I believe that communication is our number one element essential to golden communication. And our organization believes in that as well. So why do we say we're where leaders are made? Because we make effective communicators. And communication is the foundation of golden leadership. All right, so what's the second element of golden leadership? I believe it is collaboration. But what does collaboration mean? So again, type into the chat, what is your definition of the word collaboration? Now, I manage a team, and I am so incredibly proud of my team. They truly don't need me to manage. They are brilliant without me. I simply try to support them and facilitate their brilliance. But collaboration, Michelle, what are people saying is the definition of collaboration?
Okay, we've got working together with others, working for a common goal, sharing information, finding solutions to problems with others. Teamwork is everything. Teamwork, effective teamwork.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
This is a nice one. Meeting with like-hearted people who have a similar goal.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely. So it is achieving common goals through teamwork. Absolutely. It's cooperation. It is leveraging the strengths of the team, respecting the diversity and leveraging that diversity. That's what collaboration is. And collaboration is lack of ego. There is no room for ego in collaboration. And the foundation of collaboration within Toastmasters is our core values. We begin with integrity. Then we move to respect for every individual on the team. Service leadership. And finally, every endeavor performed with excellence. So our core values are the foundation of collaboration of every team within our organization. What about the third element? Conflict. Now I want to know your definition of conflict. So type that into the chat. In our organization, unfortunately, I have seen conflict, and I've seen too much of it. So the reason that I put it as one of the elements of leadership is because we need to address conflict as soon as it arises. So Michelle, what are our participants saying is their definition of conflict?
Okay, so we've got a lot here. Differences hard to resolve, opposing goals and ideals, butting heads with others, a disagreement, good conflict and bad conflict, disagreement between individuals that is not handled well, being at odds when two people disagree, difference of opinion, distance between reality and truth.
Oh, brilliant definitions. Wow, that last one, that one's powerful. Brilliant definitions of conflict. Conflict is battle, discord. And my definition of conflict in this regard is conflict is destructive. Conflict is ego-driven. Conflict is the absence of communication and collaboration. So, what do we do with conflict? We have to address it, and we must address it immediately. And if we need a mediator, a third party, then we need to ask for a mediator. Ultimately, How are your words and actions positively supporting the vision, the mission, the goals? Every word and every action should be in support of the vision, the mission, and the goals. And if your words and actions are in support, there is no room for conflict. Conflict is ego-driven, and there is no room for ego when we are talking about leadership. Change. Who could ever imagined the changes that we would have in 2020? Certainly last year I thought I led our organization through changes, but those were self-imposed changes. Those were changes that we had elected to have. This year, our changes were thrust upon us. Change, doing something differently, making something different. Absolutely, 2020 has been the year of change. And as leaders, we have to adapt to change. We have to be willing to change. We have to be willing to be agile, to be creative, to be innovative. Now, are you a positive reactor to change? Are you a negative reactor to change? So negative reactions to change are denial, fear, panic, rebellion, resistance, distrust. Positive reactors to change acknowledge change, accept it, finally are willing to adopt it, may even applaud it, be energized by it, and finally change becomes a habit. So when we think about COVID struck our world when I was in Denver, Colorado at my final March executive committee meeting and March board of directors meeting. That's when COVID struck our organization. And before we left Denver, Colorado, we had decided that our members needed to meet online. And a week or so later, we decided that our districts needed to conduct their meetings online. We adapted to our changing world as quickly as we could, and we did it for the safety of our members. It took courage. It took courage. On behalf of the board of directors, our clubs, our districts, our regions, we had to adapt to change. We had to be creative, innovative, and agile. And I will tell you that every one of you has stepped up and had the courage to change with us. And we are indebted to you for that. Leaders make the tough decisions. Leaders have to be courageous. And finally, we need to celebrate with one another. We celebrated over the last week in our virtual Toastmasters International Convention, and I hope that you joined in the celebration. So what are the 6 principles of golden leadership? They begin with communication. Communication is key to golden leadership. And then we have to collaborate. And collaboration is teamwork. There is no room for ego with collaboration. Conflict vanishes when there is collaboration. Change spurs innovation. Courage can overpower any negative change. And finally, together we must celebrate and recognize our achievements, our development, our growth. Those are the 6 principles of golden leadership: communication, collaboration, no conflict, change, courage, and celebration. It has been my golden honor to present the 6 C's of golden leadership. And if you will listen and learn, you too can lead with the 6 C's. It's been my golden honors, leaders worldwide, to be with you tonight. And I'd be honored to answer any questions that you might have if you have any.
Thank you. Lark, I'm going to go ahead and read what's here. First of all, there's a lot of positive stuff in here, and you might want to share the chat because there's a lot of excitement. I love the way in which you connected with all of us. I have a question. How did you deal with conflict at the top level of Toastmasters International when you were up there?
Absolutely. I will tell you, I dealt with it directly. So I received emails, and I received one email that was very destructive, but I simply picked up the phone and we talk about ways that we like to communicate. I like to communicate directly. So I picked up the telephone and I called the member and I spoke with them. So I wanted them to know that I was acknowledging them and I was acknowledging their concerns. Did we end up agreeing to disagree? Well, at the end of it, we did still disagree. I certainly was in agreement to disagree. I'm not sure the individual member was, and I believe we may have even lost that member to Toastmasters. I hope she comes back because obviously we don't want to lose anyone, but I dealt with it directly, and that's how I believe in dealing with conflict.
Thank you, Lark. Mostly you've got, people are just blown away by your presentation. It was great. I loved the PowerPoint. I loved the 6 C's, and the chat questions were so engaging. You have been such an amazing example of how to use this digital format to engage your audience. It's beautiful. Let's see, wonderful presentation, awesome, inspiring speech, powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, let's see.
I would like to leave one thing with all of you, and that is truly Toastmasters can be a lifelong journey. It definitely is for me. I hope that all of you will take full advantage of what Toastmasters has to offer. Obviously, Pathways has combined communication and leadership in 9 of the 11 paths. There are 2 paths that are solely for communication, and that's presentation mastery and engaging humor. But the others, we combined communication and leadership, and that was the direction of the board of directors back in like 2008. They decided that we needed to combine communication and leadership into our educational program. So now you can take advantage of that combination. But I hope that all of you will consider all the leadership roles within your club, the leadership roles within your district, region advisor roles, and international leadership roles, because at every level there is so much to gain from our leadership roles.
Lark,
I
want to give you another question before you end.
Okay.
Actually, I have another one after this if you want it.
Sure.
How have you ever had to deal with gender discrimination in Toastmasters being a female leader?
That is a fascinating question. I will tell you that I have never had to deal with gender discrimination in Toastmasters, but growing up in my profession, I certainly did. And in fact, I will tell you that when I ran for second vice president in 2015, I think that was the only time that I actually thought, you know what? My gender actually may help me in this election. So it was fascinating. But when I did have some individuals say, oh, I'm glad a woman is running. And I will tell you that I chastised them very kindly. I said, I am glad to be running for this office, but you need to vote for me for my qualifications, not for my gender. So fascinating. In my upbringing, I certainly believe I faced some, and in fact, I did face some, but with Toastmasters, absolutely not.
So you have about maybe 1 minute left. And Lark, my question is, how do you see Toastmasters as positioning itself to have an impact on the global leadership in the world, on people who are making decisions in countries? Do you see that as a possibility?
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. I believe that our organization impacts individual lives, and those individual lives impact other individual lives. And I believe that we change our world every single day. And when I look at the world, we certainly need healing, don't we? And I believe that we're the best organization to be a part of that healing.
Lark, thank you so much. I so appreciate your presentation. It was really, really, truly inspiring. I guess we'll turn this back over to Linda, and she can particularly say thank you to you. Linda, are you there?
Here.
I am here. Thank you very, very much, Lark.
Thank
That was
you.
very inspiring, educational, and wonderfully delivered. Thank you. And
Thank
you
you.
are an inspiration to the women in Toastmasters. So thank you.
Thank you. And Leaders Worldwide, I can't wait for you to charter. Thank you so much for inviting me.
October, my dear.
Awesome. That's good. I can't wait.
So Cynthia, you're up next.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Lark. That was absolutely amazing. And we so appreciate you and sharing your leadership lessons, and especially from the position that you shared from. Next up, we have our own Linda Patton, and she is an absolutely amazing woman. I know you've had a chance to get to know her as an executive director, but I'm going to read her bio and share a little bit more about her, maybe some things you haven't learned, and I'm going to add a little bit of my own spice to that, who she is, if that's okay, Linda.
Sure.
Linda
Absolutely.
Patton, she only joined recently, December 2019. And since then, she has skyrocketed into speaking and leadership. She has completed the Triple Crown by finishing the Presentation Mastery Pathway and all but level 5 of Dynamic Leadership. Linda was awarded the OATM Outstanding Achievement Toastmaster Award and is now working on her DTM project as the executive director for Leaders Worldwide, a club that she is sponsoring during formation and its Speechcraft program. She has been named the District Finance Officer for 2021 and actually has been working on that very hard, and holds the secretary role at Heart to Heart Toastmasters. Linda resides in Walnut Creek, California, with her amazing husband and beautiful puppy. I've met them both. Outstanding outside of Toastmasters, Linda is the founder of Dare to Lead with Linda, an international speaker and best-selling author. The book No One Stood Up When I Entered the Room: One Woman's Journey from Command to True Leadership. She's a radio show host on Voice America, leadership expert, mentor, and trainer. She is a gifted communicator, regularly featured live and online on business panels. Interviewed as a leadership expert and a popular speaker and seminar leader on topics related to business and leadership. She holds an MBA in leadership, a bachelor's in nursing, RN, a certificate in meeting management, various leadership positions in professional associations, major organizations, and the military as a U.S. Army major. And she was also the protocol officer to a 4-star general. That's what helps her to corral us cats, like herding cats on the Speechcraft, and make this military operation really work. And she also led as an event manager. She brought together 3,000 people in Europe to, and the specific reason was to have Germans and Israelis come together and discuss their experience of the Holocaust. This is the amazing Linda Patton. Please welcome her. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia, so very much. I don't recognize that person, but I do appreciate all those kudos. Leadership is probably one of the most maligned words in the English language. And I can tell you that I have worked with leaders for 45 years. What I find is there are so many of us who won't step into leadership. They actually put up a cross to say, no, not me, anybody else, but not me. And they'll also say things like, I don't want to be that leader. In other words, they're looking at their leadership and saying, that's not me. I don't want to be that. And therefore, I will not step into leadership. So today, I'd like to talk to you about, and let me share my screen. I knew there was something missing. Maybe. There we go. Today I want to talk about busting the myths of leadership. What does it take to lead a club? Since we're all going into clubs now, it would be great to look at what does it take leadership-wise. As I said, I've been dealing with leaders for 45 years. I was 2 years old when I started. My leadership career began in the military, and I retired as a United States Army major. And as Cynthia said, I did run a general around the headquarters quite a bit and changed his life in many ways. You might notice on this particular slide, the Women Veterans Business Owner. I am very proud of having served in the United States military, but it also set me up for a very particular type of leadership. I learned the hard way about leadership through trial and error and boots on the ground leadership. I am not an academic leader. I am someone who has dealt with it directly. I've experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly of leadership. And now I'm going to share some of the most common leadership styles, their advantages, their challenges, and what we really need to look at as a club officer and even as a club member is how are we moving in leadership? Are we rigid in our leadership style? Or are we adaptable and fluid and flexible? And can we pivot when it's necessary? Lark talked about how Toastmasters pivoted because of the COVID-19 event. If we had been rigid in our leadership, we would never have been able to move to online meetings and where we are today. So let's start. I started with command. I went into the military because I wanted to lead people, and what I learned was command. It is the most popular style of leadership, and it's primarily masculine. You have to be very decisive, powerful, intelligent, direct, and focused. And this works perfectly in emergency situations. If you think of it in terms of a firefighter, you're on the 52nd floor of the Bank of America building and there's a fire below you, and you have to get these people out. So you say to them, we're going that way. And there's 2 or 3 people over here on the right who goes, you know, I really don't like that stairwell. It's really dark, and I don't think it's a really good one to use. Let's go to the right. Well, the firefighter knows that the one to the right has a flue that's coming up and that the fire is actually coming up that stairway. It is not a safe place to be. So as a emergency worker, be it as a firefighter or as a SWAT team, you want people to instantly respond to your orders. In the military, I had to be heard across a parade field. I was the adjutant. Now imagine this. There's this huge field. There are 3 battalions on this field. Each battalion has 5 companies. Each company has 30 women in it. That's approximately 1,800 people, not including permanent cadre. I had to be heard, and they had to move precisely when I gave the command. It's a really unique position to be in as a leader. But what happens is that you are often perceived as being authoritarian, competitive, dominant, arrogant, and stubborn. As a general in the battlefield, you see clearly where you want to go, and you want the people behind you to move easily, effortlessly, and to your commands. But for those who don't like command, these are the characteristics that they see in you. So there are three common mistakes that command makes. One is telling everyone what to do. Two is relying on outdated strategies that just don't work. And three is shutting down people and their ideas. Can you relate to this? I certainly can. So the person who's telling you what to do, I'm sure sometime in your past, you've had a boss who always knew what should be done, always knew how you should do the job, and wasn't afraid at all to tell you what that was. How did you feel as that person? Did you feel engaged? Did you feel like you could step into that role and actually do it? Or did you feel that your boss was going to do it for you? Another one is relying on outdated strategies that just don't work. Again, I'm sure that you've had bosses who are like this, who are so rigid in how they want things done that they don't want to hear about new ideas or new ways of doing things. And remember what I said about being agile and able to pivot on a dime? What would your club look like if your leader did not pivot, did not become agile, was not able to move when things happen? Again, imagine what Toastmasters would have looked like. Imagine what the Speechcraft would have looked like if we relied on the fact that, ooh, we have to meet in person. We can't possibly do this way. Challenge it. Excuse me, and you'd be amazed at what can happen. I've had this happen to me a fair number of times, shutting down people and their ideas. This is really, really challenging. When you have new members in your club, they're eager to test out new ideas. If leadership says, not in my club, what happens to that member? After a period of time, they shut down and they either quit and stay, or they quit and leave and go to a club that's more likely to honor their ideas, their concepts, and where they want to go. Is this your club? Are the members running for the hills, or just to a club that nurtures them and listens to their ideas? If you're asking yourself, why are they leaving? Take a closer look at your leadership style. There is a better way. When I came out of the military and out of corporate, because I found that corporate also is very strongly command oriented, and my mentors in both the military and in corporate were generally men. And so that's what I learned. But I found that when I became an entrepreneur, that my people, excuse me, my people left, my clients were one and done, and I needed to find a better way. So I thought I'd try influence, which is more female, more feminine, more emotional than command. But I found that I had a really hard time staying in my heart and staying in influence. I constantly wanted to go back to what I knew well, which was being in my head and being in command. I needed to be inclusive, flexible. I needed to build community. I needed to be creative, and I needed to be passionate. I had all those things, but for whatever reason, it didn't always stick. It didn't always feel right to me. I've oftentimes felt too emotional. And what oftentimes the masculine side sees is that you're passive, you're agreeable, you're permissive, you're eccentric, and you're horribly emotional, which is probably not the case, but that's how we're perceived. And so I needed to find what the challenges were for influence. And they were trying to be everybody's friend. You know, you go from being the commander and the person definitely in charge to, hey, let's be friends. Let's see how we can work together, to bringing on members who are just like you and waiting for everyone to agree before you make a decision. Leaders don't do that. So what does it mean trying to be everyone's friend? Well, when you have to make the hard decisions, it's really hard when you've shared so much about you that there's no sense of respect for you and your position. And so it makes it very difficult for you to hold that position of leadership and to make the tough decisions and have them stick. It's clear that you want to build relationships, but you also have to be aware of your boundaries and when you've crossed them or when the other person has. Bringing on members who are just like you. Can you imagine a club that all look like you, that they all sound like you, that they have this, they give the same speeches and everything is identical? Can you imagine that? How boring that would be? And yet we do tend to work with people who are like us. What I find is that working with people who are not like me, people who complement me, really challenges me, makes me grow, and makes for a whole lot more interesting organization. And to be honest, when you're fighting over positions, you're fighting over decisions, it's not a pretty picture. Waiting for everyone to agree before making a decision. Have you ever seen this in your club meetings or in your executive committee meetings? This is scary. You need to decide, there are a whole list of incentives that the district is offering you this year, and trying to decide which ones are you going to shoot for. Are you going to go for all of them? Are you going to go for just a couple? What are you going to do? Well, if you wait for a club of 40 members and everyone to decide what they want to do, you will not get anything done in the year. It's important to know how to pick your battles and what you need to do to truly lead in this situation. Ultimately, my challenges with influence left me exhausted, behind schedule, and screaming, why isn't anything getting done? Why won't they listen to me? And I'd had it. I was done with command and I was done with influence. Neither one of them seemed to really work for me, but I was committed to finding an answer to the leadership struggle. I was doing a workshop called Awaken the Leader. And in that meeting, we came up with the term confluential. Com for command, fluential for influential. It was a way of drawing them both together in a way that truly could be powerful, decisive, intelligent, direct, and focused. All of those positive masculine qualities. Inclusive, flexible, community, creative, and passionate on the female side, the influence side. What we do is we're curious and ask questions. I can't tell you how many times I say to people, just curious, because I want to know what they think. Second, I seek to understand strengths of your club members. Who is strong in what areas and where do they need help? I bring on members who complement me because I want that diversity in my club. So the top 3 secrets of highly successful leaders: be curious, ask questions, seek to understand your team members and your club members, and finally, bring on members who complement you. I give you a challenge. I challenge you to dare to lead, to dare to use confluential leadership, the blending of masculine and feminine. I dare you to lead your club to becoming presidential distinguished. Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, Linda, we are opening up some questions. Am I right, Linda? We get to ask you questions too?
Absolutely.
All right. So my question is, what challenges have you personally experienced in trying to bring those two, the masculine and feminine in command or influence together? What kind of issues have showed up for you?
What I find, I think most interesting is that if I get into my heart, and that's the hardest thing for me, is to sit in my heart, not in my head, because I'm really good there. But if I allow the influence to lead, the feminine to lead with her creativity, her collaboration, her cooperation, her community, all of that, and I allow the masculine to draw up behind her with his organization structure and strategy, they make a beautiful dance as though they were doing the Argentine tango, which is my favorite, and they're in sync. And that's learning that and experiencing that and constantly pushing and testing it, I think, is the challenge to moving into confluential leadership.
Amazing. Thank you, Linda. That's what I'm saying, amazing. That's what you're getting here in the chat is amazing speech. That was great, Linda. I grew up in the military and know how masculine only it was at that time. I love how you blended both masculine and feminine way of leading. Cynthia says, powerful leadership lesson, love confluential leadership. It's a beautiful dance. I think, though, that as you say, there are challenges to doing that. Especially if you've been taught one and now you have to move to another. And so I can really appreciate, especially if you're used to command, that it might be really scary to move towards influential and let go of that need to control.
Right, and you let go of your need to tamp down your emotions as well, because that was not something that you could express as a military officer. You were always in command of your emotions and, you know, who you were and that kind of thing. And that's why, you know, I find it somewhat difficult these days when no one stands up when I walk into a room, because I'm used to that. As a senior officer, it was automatic. You didn't think about it, you just did it. And it wasn't until the officer said seats or whatever their command was that you could actually sit down. So it's, I've had a long journey, and one that allowed me to test and to create confluential leadership. And now I get a chance to teach it to women and men leaders in a practical way. And so it's not academic.
So I have a couple of questions for you. Tong Yin says, great speech and tips. How do you deal with members who do not respond to your emails, including some officers? Boy, I experienced that.
Yes. Well, basically what I would do is get up close and personal and basically pick up the phone. I want to find out why, what's going on there, what's the challenge, and you know, I'm not going to command them to answer their emails, but I want to know why. So I asked the question, just curious. You know, I've sent you a number of emails. I haven't seen a response. What's going on? Is there something in your life that's creating this dissonance, whatever it might be?
That's great. Those are great suggestions. And I just, because we're at green, I want to get on to the next question. Carolyn Douglas says, that's amazing, but when the masculine does not know how to dance and he thinks he's an expert, what do you suggest?
I suggest pulling up your feminine and I almost want to say, and slapping him across the face and saying, excuse me, but this is what we're going to do now. There are moments when she needs to step into her feminine leadership and her community building and this kind of thing to basically wrangle him in. And you still want to honor what he brings, but you also want you want to work in collaboration and asking the question, what would it take? Just curious, what would it take for us to dance together?
Really great suggestions. Let's see. One suggestion was text that there is an email in their email box. Oh, so that's a way to let people know about email, because not everybody is onto email. And it looks like we've gotten to Red. Linda, thank you so much. Awesome to hear. We've been waiting to hear this speech, and I'm so glad I got a chance to hear it. Thank you. Everybody, give her a round of applause. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. And with that, we will take a 5-minute break so that I can finish doing breakout rooms, and you'll be ready to go off and do your own presentations.
Awesome. Anybody, do you need any more levels being posted?
I don't think so, but I will let you know shortly.
Okay, and then I'm going to post a message about becoming a charter member of Leaders Worldwide. I already got some emails earlier tonight. I'll take care of them tomorrow morning. So excited to have you aboard. And so I'll post that there. Send me an email at cynthia.dtm@yahoo.com, and I'll give you all the information so that we can you can digest it during the break.
A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. Oprah Winfrey. Have you experienced this from a mentor in your life? When I first came to work with my mentor, a woman named Bodhi Avinasha.
Are you
Is
talking
somebody
to us?
practicing their speech? If so, you might want to mute.
Fabulous. Can't wait. And I did just post in the chat about contacting me if you want to become a charter member of Leaders Worldwide. And charter member sticks with you for a lifetime, even if you discontinue your membership with the club or Toastmasters. It's a really wonderful title to take with you for your whole life. And then someone was asking about what were the dates and times for the different editions, because we're alternating. Great. And Swarna, yes, I see that you have emailed me. I will be looking at those tomorrow morning because I've got a lot to do still tonight. But yeah, that will be great. Awesome, awesome. And you can check out the times there. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Swarna. I'm so excited. Woohoo! Congratulations. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. Enjoy your break.
it's time to get back. It's 7:02.
Perfect. Thank you so very much, Mona.
Absolutely.
I was concerned.
I just saw it was, yeah.
Okay, is everyone back? Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Okay,
Yes, I'm back.
good. Okay. I have you all
Awesome.
I have you all placed in breakout rooms.
Woohoo.
Are you ready to move out?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. All right. There you go. Don't forget to hit join to go into your room. Sandra, click on join. There we go.
from my experiences with whom I led my life. First one is, of course, none other than my mother. Even if she was a school teacher, primary school teacher, elementary